welcome to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. Today we're taking a look at the opposition, Hello and welcome to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. Today we're taking a look at the politics of the opposition with a special emphasis on Rahul Gandhi. We've seen a recent CSDS poll conducted in the second week of April, which actually showed Rahul Gandhi saying that if he was voted to power, as many as 27% of the people were in favor of Rahul Gandhi. Of course, Prime Minister Modi's vote is 21% more than that, about 48%. But this graph of Rahul Gandhi is steadily rising. We've also seen the narrative being dominated a lot by the opposition. Only after the opposition picked up the issue of the constitution that the BJP went on to a back foot and went on to explain that if they came to power, they won't be changing the constitution. Of course, there is a long way to go. Rahul's revival is come pretty much at the last minute. He should have done the Bharat Jodo earlier. But can he make any kind of an impact? I must also tell our viewers, at the time of recording, the candidate for Methi and Raebareli hadn't been announced. Will that work in his favor or against it if he decides not to contest? These are some of the questions I'm going to be putting to my panel today. Joining me on the show is Rashid Kidwai, author and senior journalist. Sanjay Jha, he's a political commentator, columnist, and suspended Congress leader. I think still, I don't know how long they're going to keep on with that. Abhijit Iyer Mitra, political commentator, and he's someone who's very active on social media. We've been hearing his comments. And Vinod Sharma, political editor of the Hindustan Times, and someone who really doesn't hold back his views. So I'll begin with you, Sanjay. Where do you see Rahul Gandhi, the revival of Rahul Gandhi? Is there a revival? Are you a little satisfied with the way things are going?
Well, Priya, first and foremost, if you listen to the Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, during this campaign, he keeps talking about Shehzada all the time. He seems to be rather viscerally obsessed with Rahul Gandhi. And the fact that Mr. Modi has spent more time promoting the Congress manifesto and its guarantees for the poor, for the women, for the unemployed, and for Manrega, etc., tells you that willy-nilly, Congress party and Rahul Gandhi has become the narrative for this election. And that, to me, is a critical differentiator between this election and what happened earlier. Because logical, shall we say, corollary of any political election worldwide is that if you are the agenda, it is telling you that the tailwinds are in your favor. Now, what is really caused it is largely, I believe, two things. Number one, Mr. Modi believed after the Pran Pratishtha on January 22nd that this election was done and dusted. Like in 2014, it was an anti-UPA verdict. In 2019, he benefited hugely out of the Pulwama and Balakot because the BJP actually campaigned on nothing but national security and hyper-nationalism. In this election, he thought that the Ram Mandir will be his trump card. It hasn't worked out that way at all, barring maybe pockets in, Uttar Pradesh and maybe some part of northern India. But largely the issues, as the CDS-DS survey proved, is unemployment, inflation, development, corruption, the harassment of the opposition politicians, washing machine, electoral bonds, crony capitalism. And I think the Congress manifesto has worked like magic. So just to give you an answer in short, I do believe you're seeing the resurrection of not just the political brand of Rahul Gandhi, much as his critics may still want to lambast him, but I think also the fact that the Congress seems to be batting on the front foot. It's not falling into the old trap. The BJP has actually embarrassed itself by not talking about its achievements as it should have. That's how an incumbent party campaigns normally. But more importantly, I think Mr. Modi's desperation in calling the Congress party's manifesto, Muslim League document, etc., demonstrates a very frightening insecurity about an imminent possible potential defeat. Will it happen? We'll have to wait and see. But the Hindutva campaign of Mr. Modi is not working. In fact, I will take a bold step and tell you it's actually boomeranging on him. Is India witnessing a repeat of 2004? I do think so.
Abhijit, I think you're maybe in a minority here, but I don't want to preempt what Vinod and Rashid have to say. But how do you see this Rahul Gandhi's campaign?
So I'm going to take on where Sanjay left off. There is the original Star Wars trilogy. There was one evil guy there called Darth Vader, and it required two heroes and one heroine to counter him. So, and Darth Vader was a scary guy. Rahul is not a scary guy. Therein lies the problem. What has the BJP strategy been throughout? It's been to portray, Rahul Gandhi as a pappu. So they may very well see him as a Darth Vader, who incidentally, anybody who watches Star Wars is always pitching for Darth Vader. You want Darth Vader to win and not the good guys to win. But what ends up happening here is, till this election, they were pitching him as somebody who was a joker and a clown. Nobody votes for a joker and a clown. So I kind of agree on Sanjay on this, where now when they portray him as somebody serious and dangerous, it takes away for their own campaign, because people do actually vote for the Darth Vader. Number one, it isn't that it's a Rahul centric campaign. Previous campaigns were also Rahul centric, just that he was portrayed as a clown. This time he's portrayed as somebody serious, which may not go in the BJP's favor, number one. Unfortunately, though, even with a 27% rating, you see, Priya, these popularity ratings are like the Gini coefficient. It's inequality that matters. 27% plus versus 48%, 48% is always going to win. There is no if or but to this. In Canada, for example, 43% is the magic mark. So far, Pierre Poilievre hasn't managed to reach 41, which means Justin Trudeau plus Jagmeet Singh are still going to outflank him. If they come together for the election, they'll outflank him. So it doesn't matter what the individual popularity is, it's only the collective thing that matters. That said, can I also point out that Rahul's own, strategy has been really bizarre. The campaigning strategy just does not make sense. He's going campaigning in areas where the Congress has zero presence. I don't know why they're expending things like that. They are not campaigning where they do have presence. Let me give you a simple example. He's gone and visited Kendrapada in Odisha, which votes on 1st of June. And he's already done this in April. And you haven't won that since 1952. What is the thinking out here? I'm not getting that. It's expending huge resources, which the Congress party does not have on the ground. Okay. Then he went to Bhind in Maharashtra. Bhind hasn't been won by the Congress since 1984. Okay. You have no ground presence out there. What is he doing out there? BJP won the seat 9 times straight. There hasn't even been a change in differential in the vote. Right? This I don't understand. The third thing about his strategy I don't understand is, who exactly is he getting together? Is it when you go after somebody, you should localize the voter percentages everywhere to see to it that you act on it strategically. वो भी मैं नहीं देख रहा हूं, because if you look at the demographics of each region, we're not seeing any specific demographic being targeted. Fourth and finally, we should remember the BJP has built up its cadre base by a factor of 30 since 2014. And the Congress cadre base has come down very, very significantly since 2014. Several states are now almost no-go zones for the Congress. So, these things also matter on the ground. Fifthly, and this is not specific to any party, I don't know if the rest of the panelists have realized this or seen this, but this time in my house in Delhi and in Madras, there was zero campaigning. There were zero trucks. There were zero posters of anyone. My constituency is Madras. So no DMK, no ADMK, no BJP, no nothing. In Delhi, I'm in the Southwest Delhi, I think, seat. And no BJP, no AAP, no Congress, no nothing. So I don't know what's happening with campaigning because I'm not seeing any.
Okay, Vinod, do you want to come in? And I must tell you, I was hearing one of your comments the other day about a third term for Modi, and आपने कहा था कि चाय को भी 3 बारी उबाल के मजा नहीं आता है गरम करके. So I found that comment quite, catchy in terms of the third term.
मुझे तो एक बार उबाल के पीने में ही मजा नहीं आता है. Need my tea fresh in the morning, but that's another matter. You see, I would not get into metaphors which Indian audience don't understand, or analogies which Indian audience don't understand. Darth Vader and all that is beyond many people in this country.
No, Darth Vader we all get.
Rahul Gandhi is an antagonist, or you call him an anti-hero, in a situation where everybody is singing the praises of Prime Minister. Nobody is betting on him, not at least the urban folk. But this election is different. In this election, the Congress party and Rahul Gandhi, as a person who's articulating to a large extent what they mean by their manifesto, is setting the agenda, political agenda, the discourse. Largely, the Honorable Prime Minister has reacted to the manifesto of the Congress Party or the statements of Rahul Gandhi. Now, you see this manifesto, what is the key? What's the central piece in this manifesto? It is the caste survey, which is rattling the BJP from top to bottom. And the first response of the BJP was that the only caste they recognize is that of the poor, the farmers, and the rich and the youth. The poor, farmers, poor women, farmers, and youth.
Yeah.
Now, this is the caste they recognize. I wonder whether they're confusing class with caste, but that's their funeral, not ours. This is not working on the ground. If you have seen in recent first two phases of this election, why is the turnout low? Somebody just now mentioned that how great the BJP cadre is. It's sitting at home.
But we don't know who's turning out, no? At the end of the day, you don't know which voter is coming out also.
No, if you go to the ground, you know, no? I was there in Rajasthan recently. I spent about 10 days there. I saw two phases of polling there. And it's a state which is a sure winner for the BJP, has been. And even when the Congress has won, it's won by smaller margins. And BJP is always won by bigger margins. But this time, the Congress retained 70 seats in the House of 200. So look at this. I think that the caste survey is the key. And from there stems all the rhetoric of the BJP that they are going to, take your quota and give it to the Muslims, that they are going to do a survey of your personal property and take your Mangal Sutra away, give it to the Muslims. The reality is that this government does not want a serious discourse on redistribution of wealth, equitable distribution of wealth, and whatever wealth is being generated, reaching it to the right quarters. In that limited sense, Mr. Rahul Gandhi is the Bernie Sanders of India. I wonder, he's the Bernie Sanders. He may not become president, but he is one you can't ignore because he's talking sense from the standpoint of a vast mass of people who support him.
Okay.
You see, what is Bernie Sanders saying? He's saying that the wealth, American wealth, is in the hands of a few. And they are raising these issues like migration and other things to just create a scare amongst the people that the cake, a piece of the pie, they'll be demanding a piece of the pie. While the reality is that they are taking away all the pie. Isn't this the reality of India even today? We are living in a country which is increasingly looking like a plutocracy, not a democracy. And that issue has to be debated, whether you win or you lose.
Okay. So at least Rahul Gandhi is raising a lot of pertinent issues, Rashid, but he always did raise some issues. But the problem is, has he now sharpened his message? Is he now getting a wider audience? Because earlier on, he was right in a lot of things like China, COVID, economy, but he didn't get that audience, which now perhaps he seems to be getting.
Priya, as they say, satta hi satya hai. You see, you can go on talking about all notional things and nice things and morality, etc. In electoral politics, there is no silver medal. Rahul Gandhi was not supposed to be a central piece of 2024 election. From opposition point of view, it was an election that was for regional satraps. It's for, RJD, Tejasvi, Akhilesh Yadav, Mamta Banerjee, and several others. And if they do well, then obviously there is no way the BJP can come to power. It also includes Uddhav Thackeray and several others, regional parties. Rahul Gandhi is basically, prompted by both friends and foes alike that there is a, you are there and there is an illusion of grandeur and all. And he's falling prey to that. See, Priya, you look at the 543 elections are taking place. No leader of, despite their sort of seniority, stature and public life at all, is fighting from 2 seats. There is Rahul Gandhi who's under pressure, as you're saying, the recording of this program, it may or may not happen. But Rahul Gandhi is under tremendous pressure to contest from 2 seats. Why 2 seats? At the end of the day, he'll be able to retain only one provided events. So the election would become after, second round, third, fourth, if he contests, Rahul versus Modi. And that is where all kind of things will come in. Regional satraps and the issues that Mr. Vinod Sharma is talking about, etc., will go in background. And Mr. Modi loves, doing this, as Sanjay was also saying about Shahzada business, etc. So this is something that, Rahul, but problem with Rahul Gandhi is surrounded by people, I can name them also, who have never, many of them have not fought election, or many of them have not won election. So electoral politics requires a kind of very, calculated strategy. And the Congress strategy is not, turning off. You look at Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary is saying that, if you're not voting for, us, you vote for BJP. Can you imagine this? Because he's fearing that he will lose from, and look, Yusuf Pathan, and he was a leader of, Congress party in Lok Sabha, in the outgoing house. So there is no clarity, there is no sense of purpose, all this thing, and therefore the opposition thing, if you ask opposition, they will tell you different things. I mean, if you ask me, I would say, it all depends upon Mr. Modi's performance, will all depend upon Congress, this thing. If Congress, becomes 75 Lok Sabha seats or more, then it's very difficult for Mr. Modi to cross to, 300 seats. If Congress becomes 100, then there is no way BJP is getting a majority. If Congress is 50, then BJP is 350. So, everybody has a calculation, but Mr. Rahul Gandhi is not a central piece in this election, and he should understand it.
Here focusing on the opposition, but in particular the Congress and Rahul Gandhi's style, Sanjay. Do you think that he's finally learned, what you all keep telling him, the art of messaging, get the message across in a sharper way, or at least talk about issues that concern the people and not just go on about Chaukidar Chora and issues that didn't really click?
Priya, I think cynicism is everybody's fundamental right. But for an individual who's done the Bharat Jodo Yatra from Kanyakumari to Kashmir, and then from the eastern part of India to the western part of India, he's understood what is the need of the common people of this country. It's easy to be critical and to kind of dismiss it with skepticism. But when I'm telling you, I have had my own limited public exposure when you meet people. You can't imagine how much you learn, how much you kind of get inspired when you talk to, even hundreds of people. In case of Rahul Gandhi, he's met millions of them. He is a clearly transformed individual. I think anybody who actually is not getting that right is doing so at their own peril. Now, Abhijit happens to be a friend, and he and I have a lot of, powwows on television, but I love his sense of humor. But I'm going to actually take up on the analogy he mentioned. There is another one, and Vinodji is right. It may not be truly appealing to the sensibilities of the average person in India, but the urban crowd who may be watching your program will probably figure out what I'm saying. I think this election is a battle between a Harry Potter and a Dark Lord. And the
Who
Harry
must
Potter,
not be named.
yeah, he who cannot be named, because
Yes.
it's a terrifying prospect of he who cannot be named discovers who is actually dissenting. So I do believe, end of day, while we talk about Rahul Gandhi, it's okay because personalities are more attractive to talk about. I do believe that this election is now increasingly becoming, and I'm not telling you this as a rhetoric, it is becoming an election between the people of India, and not India Alliance, but the people of India against the BJP, because the BJP is now seen as that powerful establishment. It's seen as that, very monstrous government, the big brother that wants to tell you what to do, tells you when to talk, threatens you in terms of what the consequences will be if they're displeased with you. And I think somewhere down the line, I don't know what Vinodji's and Rashid Bhai's experience is, or even Abhi's experience, but a lot of people today are actually talking about fear, hate, divisiveness. And these are human emotions that when they get deep into your system, you do take a very serious call. And therefore, I want to end by actually quoting a dialogue from a very popular hit of last year, Pathan, where Shah Rukh Khan says, "Kursi ki peti bandh lo, mausam kharab hone wala hai." Modi ji has senses. He's got very sharp political instincts. I'm a critic of his ideology, but I admire his sharp political instincts. He's read the writing on the wall, and his expressions at the moment of being anti-Muslim or polarizing is a manifestation of the fact that he sees a very troubled time ahead.
Okay. Well, Harry Potter and Darth Vader aside, Abhijit, I think what also Sanjay is saying is that it's not so much personalities, but issues are coming in the debate, which is, I think, a good point, a good thing to happen.
Absolutely. So, let's take the first issue that Vinodji mentioned, which was caste, right? Now, caste is a twofold thing. Again, there is a positive to it and there's a negative to it. The positive from, the Congress point of view, I guess, is it's a sort of a direct challenge to Hindutva because Hindutva believes that the Hindu caste should be subsumed into the Hindu identity. The Hindu identity comes first and all caste divisions should be subsumed into it. When you bring up castes like that, of course, you create the fissure and people start thinking again, hey, maybe Hindutva isn't great for me. Maybe caste politics was better for me as it was before, etc., etc.
It's that Mandal versus Kamandal.
Exactly. So this will come, we will only know this on the 4th of June, where, some members of this panel will be crying and some members of this panel will be dancing. This is
We know who's the dancer here, but we can all
well,
have
I
a few
mean,
steps.
others can also start dancing under the right circumstances,
Can do the jive.
Yeah, the second is I'm not too sure that message will work anymore. And I'll tell you why. The first of all, the sort of Hindu consolidation that has happened has been very solid and it is kept together by cadre, number one. Number two, when you talk of redistribution, we need to understand these redistributive slogans went out of fashion in 1991 and they were at their peak in the 70s and the 80s. Now, in 1970, our per capita income was around $115. By 1980, it had climbed to about $250. Today, Priya, the per capita income even in 2014 was $1,500. And today it stands at about $2,850. This is not an income level at which you're thinking about where redistributive messages go down very well. Right. A lot of things go down well. I'm not too sure. If you look at America's trajectory at the same time, not that America had much by way of redistribution, but it was around that $3,000 mark. And I'm not doing the sort of adjusted dollarization of, historical GDP projections, is when, rampant capitalism and a celebration of capitalism set in. They were already, but even by their standards. The last thing I want to make is regarding Sanjay's, the tyranny of the analogy, specifically Harry Potter. We need to remember the Dark Lord came from a hallowed noble bloodline, and he was renowned for, the pure blood thing. Whereas Harry Potter was the poor kid who came from nowhere. Now, who is the, the dynasty here, and who is the chaiwala, poor chaiwala with the ill-treated chaiwala with the mark on his head, aap hi दूध का दूध पानी का पानी कर लो.
To complete the
quick
chai
response.
analogy.
It's a good comeback by Abhi. I got to concede that. But here is the point. My basic analogy was on the fight between good and evil. And Dark Lord is basically spreading destruction and division amongst both the nobility and the common man. But here is my point on per capita income, since, Abhi mentioned that. The truth is that after 1991, and I'm a big supporter of the 1991 reforms, Abhijit, but I will concede that it has accentuated inequality. And there's nothing wrong with people becoming rich, but it can't be with the poor or the actual neo-middle class struggling at the periphery. Actually, if you look at per capita income, Abhijit, India is at 140 plus. So the truth is we are not doing well. We are not doing well. That's why the farmers are angry. That's why the poor are suffering. That's why India still needs to give 5 kilograms of free food grains for 5 years. 60% of India needs that.
Okay, that answer will come on the 4th, as Abhijit said. But anything about taxes, I get worried because it is the middle class who bears the brunt at the end of the day. The rich know how to avoid it and the poor can't anyways afford it. Vinod, your take.
I'm sorry, I'm from the middle class, and we are the ones who bastardize debate. We are the ones who bastardize debate between two elections.
Explain.
This kind of bastardization of debate, that everybody has enough to feed, everybody has enough to live, is not working. Go to the countryside. You see, I know there is a section of the middle class, upper middle class, which has an expendable income, which splurges at demonstrative riches. Now, these demonstrative riches have created a sense of poverty which taunts you that how much poor are you in comparison to other people. At the spread of the media, the mass communication tools, this is creating a serious despondency in the youth, section of the youth. And when you say that you are going to shake urban nexus, you have to do it from the bottom. That is where you have to start. You have to reach the opportunities and the wealth which is being generated by economic reforms or whatever, your marketplace, you have to do it equitably. It is not about redistribution alone. It is equitable distribution of wealth which is being generated. May I recall to you what Chandrababu Naidu told me in the second phase of economic reforms? He says, look, I was the chief minister he was celebrated as one person who embodied the reforms, economic reforms. He and S.M. Krishna both lost the elections. Why? They lost the elections. Chandrababu himself told me, he said, I plowed too much of money that we earned, by way of revenue into Hyderabad. I should have taken that to the countryside, to the villages, which is what YSR Jagannath Reddy kar raha hai abhi. The point is that in this country, demonstrative riches are liked by the emerging middle class, the neo-rich, but it still teases the poor people. So, mind you, before you start, changing clothes 4 times a day while you campaign for people's votes.
Okay. Well, that was the India shining trap. Rashid, I'll leave you to conclude this argument. The issues that are catching is really what I was talking about, rather than personalities. Has at least the opposition succeeded in making that the forefront?
Yeah, I would again say, you see, what we say about issues and at least reaching and all, the very tone and tenor of it reflects that it is not about, winnability. It is winnability that counts most. It is in India, elections are about personality. The first general election that took place in 1951, what was the slogan? A vote for Congress is a vote for Nehru, not the other way around. So therefore, there was entire Indira Gandhi personality, Rajiv Gandhi personality, everyone, even I would say to a limited extent, even Manmohan Singh's personality. So you cannot say that there is inequality. Inequality has existed from time immemorial. See that fight between that Shaitan and Rahman or Rahul Mazda and Arman has been there eternal. So therefore, we cannot be settled in an election. The opposition needs to be very pragmatic, seat by side, and they need to win this election in order to deprive the BJP from getting 272. Is that happening? That is a real test, not about all these notional things. We talk about caste census and caste dynamics. Is your own cadre with you? Your own people are talking about it. We saw it last election in 5 states. Congressmen themselves were not talking about caste census.
I saw that, yeah.
You saw that. And to say that, and Priya, you and me, we were there in Kamal Nath's house one day where he said, ye chunav to janta hi jitayegi. I find accuse me of being cynical, cynical, but fact of the matter is janta chunav nahi jitati. It requires a lot of application, a lot of technology, a lot of smartness, and that smartness is lacking in opposition.
Well, on that note, thank you so much. At least we came to discuss some of the issues that are at the forefront of this campaign. It is an interesting campaign. At the beginning of it, we thought it was a walkover. Maybe, probably the BJP is still ahead and will cross the 270 mark. But at least the opposition is putting up a fight, which is, of course, always welcome. On that note, thank you so much for this conversation.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.